social and political commentary from a Christian male perspective.
Hey, grace and peace, everybody. You saw the thumbnail, you saw the title. So you know what we're about to do. We're about to get back in our Bayou cruiser. We're heading back down to the Bayou to figure out what's happening over here in Orleans. Y'all, this has just been such a wild story. Not a lot has changed since yesterday, but I do appreciate you nonetheless hopping into the best live chat on the internet. Thank you so much for your support of the channel. Thank you so much for checking out the videos. A lot of you all have been checking out my book review of Black Fatigue. This is the actual book that started the whole conversation about Black fatigue. Well, I'm doing the book review of it. I'm doing 3 chapters at a time. So I did that yesterday. Thank you so much for checking that out. I'm gonna probably sit down and read tonight. We had a humongous graduation party for President Firstborn today. Praise God. She not only graduated, but had a fantastic send-off with lots of friends, family, teachers. Her first teacher was there. Her drama teacher, her superintendent from her school system came. It was just super crazy. So my in-laws are in town. They were just phenomenal. It's just been a busy day. So thank you so much for dropping in. I really appreciate it. I appreciate y'all. So let's get at it. Now, we're just going to look at a couple of, I got a little bit of feedback that you all did like the prison guy. We watched his channel yesterday, and I appreciate that feedback and said, hey, let's give him a little bit of support again today. We'll probably look at one of his clips. He did a summary as well of what's been going on in these gnarling streets. So let's just bring this in real quick and get this party going. Let's go.
7 accomplices now accused of playing a role in this. 7 accomplices now accused of playing a role in the escape of 10 inmates from New Orleans. 1 week into the escape, 5 inmates remain on the run tonight. And a tactical unit arrested a man, Emmett Weber, in New Orleans East for allegedly helping some of those inmates. WDSU reporter Jasmine Franklin is live with more now, breaking down the new details, Jasmine, about others who are accused of aiding and abetting.
Right, Sella. Police have been responding to tips all week long while searching for the 5 remaining escapees. Now, those tips did help them find the first 5 inmates, but they're also right now searching for people they believe assisted those escaped inmates.
I think, this has been a very long week. We do appreciate all of the tips that we've gotten.
1 week after 10 inmates ran out of the Orleans Justice Center, 5 have been captured and 5 others remain on the run. And while the search for the remaining inmates intensifies, law enforcement is cracking down on anyone accused of helping. These 7 people have been arrested in connection to the escaped inmates.
We are absolutely seeing tips that are naming individuals that may have helped. And obviously it's breaking the law at this instance.
In court Friday, bond was set at $1 million for Casey Smith, accused of helping at least 3 inmates. We also learned about a new family connection between the alleged accomplices. Court records show Casey Smith is the cousin of Courtney Harris, who is also accused of assisting inmates. Lawyers claim Harris and Smith were in a car together and got a call from one of the inmates. Harris is accused of driving 3 inmates around after their escape. Smith's lawyer says she has no connection to the inmates.
It's a difficult situation you're putting yourself in. And when you look at now these individuals who have been arrested and will serve time, most likely, that's a serious message that people out there who are in the situation now need to take heed.
And tonight, state police continue to stress that any family or friends assisting those 5 remaining inmates could also face charges. State police and the FBI say they will continue working tirelessly until they find the 5 remaining inmates. Reporting live in New Orleans, Jasmine Franklin, WDSU News.
Man, that is crazy work. There we go. Sorry about that. That's some crazy work, man. These people have thrown their whole lives away for these Pookies that are they're going to be in jail. They're going to go back to jail. That's the thing. It's not like you're going to help them stay out of jail indefinitely. They're going to go to jail one way or another. One way or another, by hook or by crook, they're going back to jail. So what's the purpose of helping them out? For what? Just some Pookie time? Girl, y'all done wasted your whole lives. And they said you're going to go to jail. So even with the whole I didn't know, somebody said that they didn't know who it was. They ain't even going to go with that. They said they don't even care. You can say you didn't know who it was, and you can say that while you're in jail for 5 years as an accomplice. Was it accomplice after the fact? That is crazy work. All right, let's keep this going. And shout out to everybody who's jumped into the best live chat on the internet. Let's jump in. Let's keep this going. Let's talk about this wild case. And this was really informative. I thought this was a great summary of what's been going on, so you can kind of get caught up. I hate to be out of the loop, so here we go. Let's go.
It's been 1 week since 10 inmates made a bold escape from jail in New Orleans. 1 week since we saw this photo that went viral, and a lot has happened since then. I'm Devin Bartolotta with WWL Louisiana. This is part one. We're going to go through a detailed timeline day by day of every major event surrounding the Orleans Justice Center escape. Day one, Friday, May 16th. Just after midnight, inmates started pulling on the door to his cell. No staff members were in the pod at this time, and a civilian monitor hired to watch the cameras had stepped away to go eat. Now, the sheriff's office knew these doors could be manipulated off the tracks, and inmates succeeded. They got into a cell where the water had apparently been turned off. Someone, either inside that cell or maybe out, sawed through rebar, bolts, and a pipe to make a hole. Here is the moment of freedom. You can see the inmates running out of a door around 1 o'clock in the morning. They had blankets with them that authorities say they used to not get cut by razor wire as they climbed a fence. And then they all ran across the interstate in front of cars. The hours that followed this would be crucial, but it apparently went totally unnoticed. Through a 6:30 a.m. shift change, not even realized until after 8:30 a.m. during morning head count. At some point, staff discovered the hole in the cell wall with "Too easy, LOL" written above it. At 8:53, the jail was put on lockdown. 9:30, feds were notified. 10:30.
Okay, so let's look at this. Thank you so much to the news for this. Let me move myself out of the way. Okay. 1:01 a.m., the inmates escaped. I want to know, were there any cameras between the cell that they snuck out of, that they saw their way out of or whatever, and the loading dock? Like, where's that camera footage from when they got out of the cell, snuck through the wall to get into the loading dock? There had to have been some other camera angles. Anyway, so that's 1:01 a.m. 8:47. So that's 7 hours and 36 minutes later. That's when it was discovered. 6 minutes after that, they locked down the entire jail. And I mean, I can be a little gracious because I heard them explain that, they were trying to see if the inmates were somewhere else in the building and whatever like that. Okay. That kind of makes sense. So I'm not 100%, but how long does it take you to realize, okay, there's 10 guys missing? How long does it take you to figure that out? Marshall's task force is notified at 9:30. So, they're moving pretty quick now. NOPD is notified at 10:30. Well, why don't you notify everybody at the exact same time? Press release sent at 10:50. So basically 9 hours and 40 minutes after they escaped, that's when the press was told. And at no time did they ever tell victims and people of that nature. So that's wild. Shout out to them, man. Thank you so much for jumping in. Thank you so much for the green hearts. I appreciate you. Present, not perfect. Fantastic, brother. Thank you so much for the support. I see you, David. Thanks so much. Wow, that's crazy. I heard about this, but hadn't seen the video yet. Yeah, we've been going over it, David. You can check out the playlist. We have a playlist called The Great Pookie Escape of New Orleans on this channel. They're going to jail with them, too. You drove around with them. Now you're about to go to jail with them. That's crazy. As you said, Gerald, nasty, dirty work. All right, let's keep it going.
NOPD notified. 10:50, Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office sent out a press release about the escape. Around 11:30 a.m., Troop NOLA, Louisiana State Police, took Kendall Miles into custody. He was apparently in the French Quarter and was arrested on Royal Street. That's around the same time that Sheriff Susan Hudson held her first news conference.
Top priority right now is the safety of the public.
The finger pointing started immediately.
Yeah.
Sheriff Susan Hudson blamed funding troubles. The district attorney, Jason Williams, blamed her poor leadership. And everyone pretty much was furious about the communications breakdowns and other issues that led to an 8-hour head start before law enforcement was even notified about this escape. In reality, the escapees enjoyed 12 and a half hours of anonymity before their mugshots were sent out around 1:30 p.m. Finally, at 2:30 p.m., NOLA already sent out an alert, just as the sheriff implied for the first time this might be an inside job.
We think this was intentional. There is much more than meets the eye.
Next, we learned that 3 jail employees had been suspended. At 7:30, a Crime Stoppers tip led law enforcement to escapee Robert Moody in Central City. And later that night, Dakeenan Dennis was caught in New Orleans East. Day 2, Saturday, we saw pictures of Miles, Moody, and Dennis being loaded into a helicopter to go to the Louisiana State Penitentiary. But 7 inmates were still on the run. This was terrifying for witnesses, victims, and families of victims. At least one of them went into hiding immediately after they heard about the escape. Also Saturday, we heard from Mayor Cantrell for the first time on Instagram. We saw a scene happening in New Orleans East, although it did not result in the arrest of an inmate. And the reward increased to $12,000 per inmate.
Let's go.
Day 3, Sunday, there were no inmates arrested, but there were politics. First, we saw a new video from Project NOLA on the morning of the escape with Kendall Miles walking in the French Quarter along with a second man. The FBI and Governor Jeff Landry also held a press conference Sunday.
Turn yourself in.
Landry blamed District Attorney Jason Williams and criminal court judges in New Orleans and announced an audit and several investigations into the jail. Sunday, the reward increased to $20,000 per inmate for information. And the next day, the DA, Jason Williams, would come back at the governor with receipts. Go to part 2 or check out our reporting on WWLTV.com and on WWL+.
Oh wait. I think I've heard from the people. The people want to hear what happened. I personally, I don't think that Jason Williams should be even addressed as accountable for this.
This is
You can say that you're arresting too many people. Well, that's really silly to say. I'll be honest with you. That just seems really ignorant to say that you're arresting too many people. That's why that's why this happened. That makes no sense. That makes no sense at all.
Part 2 of the first 7 days after.
So let me get this in ready. But that makes no sense at all. I mean, Jason Williams, and again, I'm not trying to defend him because he has a beard and he's bald and or whatnot, but I don't think Jason Williams is responsible. I don't think the governor's responsible. I think that Sheriff Hinton is the problem. That's just it. There's no other ways around it. But let's just see what news outlet brings in. Let's bring them in again. Shout out to her. Part 2. Let's roll.
Part 2 of the first 7 days after the New Orleans jailbreak. I'm Devin Bartolotta with WWL Louisiana. Go watch part 1 if you have not to get caught up, because we are starting with day 4. That is Monday after the escape. No inmates were captured over the weekend, but we learned 5 of the 7 still on the loose had murder or attempted murder charges or
Crazy
even
work.
convictions on the books. 2 of them had escaped from custody previously. Other headlines, and there were a lot. State Representative Amy Adato-Friedman called for Sheriff Hudson to resign. DA Jason Williams defended his job performance after shade from the governor and shifted blame to the sheriff's office while also saying some of his prosecutors had to go into hiding because of this. Hudson and Attorney General Liz Murrell were called to an emergency meeting with a federal judge about the consent decree. Some of the victims of the escaped inmates told us they were never officially notified about the escape.
Crazy.
And in
work.
Baton Rouge, a new bill was filed to require notification about escapes at adult jails. Then that evening, escapee Gary Price was taken into custody in New Orleans East and put on a helicopter to a maximum security facility. 4 days in, 6 inmates still missing. Day 5, Tuesday, there were 4 in custody, and news came out that a maintenance worker at the jail, Sterling Williams, had been arrested for allegedly helping the escapees get out. A source says he admitted to turning off water to the cell where the toilet was removed, but his attorney said he was just doing his job.
He was used as a tool by the escapees and is being used as a fall guy by Sheriff Hudson.
City Council's Criminal Justice Committee met with Sheriff Susan Hudson for about 3 hours, and it got heated. She blamed city council for failing to give the jail facilities more money, and council pushed back, saying she hasn't been transparent about the money the department has received. Later, Hudson announced she was temporarily suspending her re-election campaign. That evening, we saw a huge police presence in Slidell, and a few hours later, one in the Iberville neighborhood of New Orleans. And that is where police found 19-year-old escapee Corey Boyd in his grandmother's apartment. On day 6, we learned about that scene in Slidell. It had ties to one of these two women who authorities say helped several inmates by giving them food and driving them around. Also Wednesday, we received new video of inmates walking in the CBD after the jailbreak. AG Merle and DA Williams toured the jail and got a look at its security problems. And Governor Landry signed an executive order directing multiple agencies to put the New Orleans justice system under a microscope. Only 5 inmates were back in custody as of Wednesday, and none of them had traveled more than 10 miles from the jail. Day 7, Thursday, another woman from Slidell was arrested for allegedly helping an inmate still on the loose by giving him money. We also learned the DA's office had to step in and call the crime lab to process the scene of the escape at the jail almost a week later. And now that we've hit the week mark, the list of investigations, probes, and players just keeps on growing. Our whole staff has been covering this all week long, and we will continue to do so. You can find all of our reporting on WWLTV.com and on the WWL Plus app on your TV.
I mean, I can imagine the amount of resources that are being used has got to be pretty staggering. I mean, the amount of resources to get these guys back in and the such like that has, I'm pretty sure it's probably impressive, to say the least. And as the DA said yesterday, that time could be spent doing other things. That time could be spent on other crimes, on other cases that are not being addressed and not being properly taken care of because so many resources are being used on this. And again, I think the weak link is the sheriff. I can't think of another way to pronounce it. And I do think it's interesting that we still don't know who was suspended and why they were suspended, because there's staff people in the jail that have been suspended, 3 of them to be exact, and we don't know why. Why did they get suspended? Who are they? Why are you not showing their mugshots like you're showing that poor plumber man? Like, what's going on? Plumber man get to see, we get to see who plumber man is. We want to see who these people are. Like, what's going on? Anyway, let's finish this up. We got 2 more, and I'm gonna get y'all out of here. Thank y'all again for rocking with us. Let's roll.
Attempted escape at the jail. 2 inmates who investigators say tried to break out of the same pod earlier this month were arrested and appeared just today in court. And their bonds have been set now. WDSC reporter Ariel Brumfield, she joins us live from the jail on these late-breaking developments. And Ariel, the bond that was set for another alleged accomplice.
That's right. A lot happening, ladies. We know those 2 inmates that you mentioned were just appearing in court. That is Tevin Arbuthnot and Demetrius Favreau. We're told these 2 men are accused of trying to break out of the Orleans Justice Center, now inside of Pod 1D. The same pod the 10 inmates broke out of last week. Now, Tevin Arbuthnot's bond was set at $500,000, and Demetrius Favreau, he's on a $100,000 bond. Court records show Tevin allegedly tried to push his way through the ceiling of the pod, and Demetrius helped him to lift it up.
Wow. Okay. And I just wanted you to see that because clearly there were that jail is problematic. I mean, people trying to they're doing tours in that joint. They're just doing tours. And so just a week before this break, there were 2 men that tried to break out. That's craziness, y'all. Like, what are y'all doing over there? This is so crazy. But let's finish this up. We're gonna look at my guy. There we go. The jail man. What's his name of his channel is After Prison Show. And he just has a really interesting perspective as a former resident of the Gray Bar hotel system. And he has some pretty interesting intel. So let's just bring him in. Again, shout out to him. And I'll make sure I leave a link to his channel down in the bottom, down in the comments. Let's go.
7 days ago in the wee hours of the morning, 10 prisoners would escape from a New Orleans jail. And at this point, there are still 5 remaining fugitives. Up until about the 3rd day after this daring jailbreak, prisoners were being apprehended. But since then, things have gotten quiet, and quiet is undoubtedly not good. Quiet could potentially mean that these remaining 5 fugitives have gotten out of the city, possibly even out of the state. Who knows where these guys are at this point? And that certainly is not a good look for the New Orleans Sheriff's Department at the center of this fiasco. Again, with today marking 1 week since this jailbreak first occurred, folks, just yesterday, a 3rd woman would be arrested for her alleged role in helping one of these fugitives get away. 3rd woman arrested for allegedly assisting New Orleans inmate escape, still at large. A Slidell woman was arrested and accused of helping a fugitive who is still at large from the massive New Orleans jailbreak elude capture. Connie Whedon, 59, was taken into custody in Slidell and booked into the St. Tammany Parish Correctional Center on Thursday. In addition to jail employees, she's the 3rd person arrested for assisting the Orleans Justice Center jail escaped inmates. Whedon faces a felony charge of accessory after the fact for allegedly assisting Jermaine Donald, one of the 5 escapees still on the run. Whedon was in contact via phone both before and after the escape. Investigators determined that after the escape, she provided Donald with cash through a cell phone app. That paper trail is going to catch you every time. Yeah, man, you provided this escapee with some money. You aided and abetted, and now you got a felony charge. Imagine if this woman, 59 years old, had never been in trouble in her life before. Now, she's potentially facing prison time. Donald remains at large with 4 others who broke out of the Orleans Justice Center on May the 16th, again a week ago at this point. Authorities have recaptured 5 of the original 10 who escaped. Law enforcement officials warned that helping fugitives will carry serious consequences, especially in a nationwide manhunt with so much notoriety. This thing is getting more coverage than the freaking Diddy trial, where possibly they're neck and neck. The Diddy trial has some wild stuff going on with it too. Yeah, we should cover that here. Those who choose to assist or conceal these individuals are violating the law and will be held accountable, the state police said. Harboring fugitive threatens the safety of our community and will not be tolerated. Under Louisiana law, a conviction for accessory after the fact carries a penalty of up to 5 years in prison, a fine of up to $500, or both. Imagine getting 5 years in prison and you never even had a criminal record, all because you thought you were doing the right thing. Earlier on Thursday, the Orleans Parish District Attorney issued subpoenas to the Orleans Parish Sheriff, Susan Hudson. How you up for re-election and you're getting subpoenaed to testify about what you've done to help get these guys caught, but probably more importantly, what you didn't do that led to this escape taking place in the first place. They also subpoenaed other staff members as part of an ongoing investigation into the escape of the inmates. The order demanded access to emails, text messages, internal messages from or to Hudson and other OPSO staff and contractors, including those to Sterling Williams. They want all the documents. And guess what the most interesting of those documents is going to be? Anything that took place in the 2 hours from the time that the jail found out that these guys escaped until the public was made aware of this. And I need to reiterate something that may be getting lost on people. It took 2 hours for the sheriff's department to say, yes, we do have 10 escaped prisoners. The only reason that they said this 2 hours later is because the media had gotten wind of it, and it was the media who leaked this prior to the sheriff's department announcing it. Media came first, sheriff's department followed immediately after. Yep, they're right. Channel 3, hey, they're right. We do actually have 10 escaped convicts on the loose right now. We got no idea where they're at. If the media hadn't gotten wind and leaked this when they did, when do you think the sheriff's office would have made mention of this? Would they have tried to keep this completely under the rug? Would we know about it at this point, a week later?
Would they have tried that, though? Do you think they would have tried to not tell at all if they could have kept it a secret? That's just crazy. I don't even think, I mean, some of y'all live there, you know, like Marshall lives in New Orleans. Like, I just don't believe that they would be that grimy, but lesser grimy things have happened.
Sure we would have. Somebody would have found out and got this out there. Thank God it was only 2 hours after the jail found out that they actually acknowledged this. Imagine if the media didn't find out for 4 or 6 or 8 hours, and then they leaked it then. How much even worse this sheriff's department and this particular sheriff, Susan Hudson, would be looking right now. But you're looking pretty damn bad as it is. Not only do we have another woman who just got apprehended, bringing the grand total of civilians up to 3, make that 4 with the jail worker Sterling Williams. 5 escapees have been reapprehended. 5 still remain fugitives. Real quick, had to jump in here. Saturday morning, there's been more developments. It's now being reported that 7 people have now been arrested for allegedly helping inmates who broke out of a New Orleans jail last week, as the search continues for 5 outstanding escapees and any other alleged accomplices continues, authorities said. 2 arrests occurred on Friday as the number of people alleged to have assisted the 10 inmates who escaped from the Orleans Justice Center grows. Among them, 23-year-old Trevon Williams, an inmate at the jail. Damn, how you get arrested when you're already arrested? He was arrested after the Louisiana Attorney General's office said its agents obtained significant evidence that he assisted in his fellow inmates' escape in the early morning hours of May the 16th. According to an arrest warrant, Williams was wearing a distinctive black orthopedic boot on his right foot, was seen on surveillance camera entering a cell involved in the escape at approximately 12:35 on May 16th and remained there for nearly 30 minutes, the same time window during which the inmates made their escape. Investigators believe Williams supplied a blanket and shirt to aid escapees in climbing over the facility's razor wire top fencing, according to a warrant. When questioned on Thursday, Williams told investigators he could not remember why he entered the cell or what happened inside during that time, according to the warrant. Good on him. He ain't saying shit. If you're locked up and you get involved in some shit like this, you got to go hard till the end. And clearly, hey, this guy didn't pull him a Kid Cudi in the courtroom. Young Thug said Kid Cudi was a snitch for testifying in the Diddy trial. Any thoughts about that? A second man was also arrested on Friday and accused of helping 2 inmates after their escape, according to the New Orleans Police Department. Emmett Weber, 28, was taken into custody after police executed a high-risk warrant at a home in New Orleans, police said. After questioning, Weber was arrested and has been charged with accessory after the fact. A jail employee accused of helping the inmates break out, and 4 women who allegedly helped some of them once free have also been previously arrested in connection with the jailbreak. Yeah, so I only had 6 coming up. 2 women, the elderly woman, Sterling Williams, Emmett Weber, who was just arrested, and this prisoner who didn't remember why he entered the cell. But they mentioned a Casey Smith, 30 years old, was arrested on Thursday for allegedly assisting 2 of the 10 inmates who escaped from the jail. And there's her picture right there.
Oh, baby.
Wowzers. Look shocked to be there. I was also going to make this a completely separate video, but I just want to throw this in right now just so you guys have all of the current information. This is actually huge right now. Louisiana inmates used hair trimmers in efforts to escape from New Orleans jail. Man, these mugs was cutting through the wall with a freaking pair of beard trimmers. I can all but guarantee you, you ain't going to be able to get these shits off commissary no more, or be eligible to get a haircut for that matter in this facility. 10 inmates who broke out of a New Orleans jail in a stunning overnight escape last week used electronic hair trimmers with multiple clipper blades. I'd say so. It probably took a lot of blades to be able to cut through whatever they were trying to get through. With multiple clipper blades to help cut their way through the cell wall, you mean to tell me that a pair of clippers can cut through block and mortar? Investigators continue to come through previous jail.
Wait. I gotta find this article. I need to know what clippers they use. Now, mind you, I don't use any clippers. But wait, hold on. I gotta back that up. Okay, let me find this. Okay, I gotta find this article. I'm sorry. I did not see this. I saw that in the thumbnail, but I didn't know what he was gonna say. That has got to be the funniest thing. We have got to. I need to know what brand of clippers they use. Are they gonna throw the CEO of the clipper company in jail too? You know, you was an accomplice after the fact, man. or during the crime. I'm sorry, no, not after the fact. It'd be during the crime. Yo, come on. Yeah, please stop this. Tell me that this has got to be a joke. I found it. Oh my gosh. Oh my word. It really does say that. I get okay. I'm gonna look into this. Okay, I found the article. So I'm gonna wait, hold on. Are you using beard trimmers? Yo, this guy right here is a former, oh, by the way, shout out to everybody who's just jumped into the chat. Norelco, you about to go down, Norelco? Walls, Andes, who else? Y'all about to go down. Gillette, about to catch it, man. Anyway, this gentleman right here, it is the After Prison Show. He's a former resident of the Gray Bar Hotel, and he does commentary about prison life and what goes on in jail and court, all that kind of stuff like that. I think it's kind of cool. So he's been doing a response and reaction to this as well. I think his reviews have been pretty fun. So I brought it in, but I did find the article. It's on CNN. Let me drop the link in the chat for y'all, but we'll go over it because I really want to know what brand, how did you use clippers to cut your way? I did not see that coming. I did not see that coming at all. Okay, let's go, y'all. Let's finish this up.
Blades. I'd say so. It probably took a lot of blades to be able to cut through whatever they were trying to get through. With multiple clipper blades to help cut their way through the cell wall, you mean to tell me that a pair of clippers can cut through block and mortar? Investigators continue to comb through previous jail phone records and believe that other incarcerated inmates or employees at the jail could face additional charges for their role in assisting this escape and initial cover-up in the hours following the jailbreak. Cover-up. That's the first that I'm hearing of that.
Yeah, that's my first.
Those inmates are believed to have placed the toilet back on the wall after the jailbreak to conceal the hole behind the toilet that the escapees used to break free. Oh, shit. So the toilet was back on the wall in place, not left sitting in the center of the cell like we've seen in the pictures. Clearly, that's been removed to show the hole that these prisoners escaped through. If you were manning the security system, you would have known a door was open. Former Orleans Parish Sheriff Marlon Gussman, who ran the jail from 2004 to 2022, told CNN, especially in the middle of the night. He oversaw construction at the Orleans Justice Center, which reopened in 2015 as a part of a federal emergency management agency project to replace older jail structures that were damaged during Hurricane Katrina. Gussman told CNN he has no idea how the inmates got into the pipe chase behind the toilet and sink, but emphasized they had to navigate through walls made with a substantial network of concrete molding about 5 inches thick and mixed with rebar, which is reinforced steel. And the pipe chase is secure. If you open the door to the pipe chase.
Sorry about that. I want to see that. That's what I want to see. When they left here, let's back this up. Because I really don't think, I like the word cover up. I think that's pretty gangster. Okay. So when they snuck through here and got past this pipe right here, where are they going? I want to see, for lack of a better term, I want somebody to emulate what would it look like in order to get, how does that work? Yeah, but the power apex of a battery operated trimmer is not that intense. It's not that intense. It's not, I don't think, I mean, if I know what you're talking about, there are tools that use lots of different means to create that a cutting sensation, but trimmers aren't meant to do that. That's what I'm saying. Like, and then where are the trimmers? Right, so they just took the trimmers with them. I got more questions in a little bit. I got the article here. Wait, let me put it over here. We're gonna be looking at that in a second. But oh my gosh, this is such a crazy. This story has turned left real quick. Let's
mixed with rebar, which is reinforced steel. And the pipe chase is secure. If you open the door to the pipe chase, an alarm should go off, the former sheriff told CNN. If you get into the pipe chase, it's not like you are out. You still have to get to another door. Gusman added, so however they got into the pipe chase, I don't know. But once they got into the pipe chase, there was a door that they had to leave out of the pipe chase onto the loading dock. Certainly sounds like somebody potentially left that door unlocked for them, or maybe that lock to that door was as defective as the cell door locks. Folks, there's other information coming out that the public is making this investigation even more difficult than it needs to be because of the mistrust of the police in general. Matter of fact, people are rooting for these guys who escaped, which is diabolical in my opinion, given the fact that some of these guys have murder charges. In fact, most, I believe, of the guys still on the run.
But Lawrence, they were cutting through metal, though. I'm reading the thing. It doesn't make any sense how they use those. It makes no sense at all. We'll pull it up. I'm sorry. I mean, how did that work? And okay, so that means they would needed to have had battery operated trimmers that they're using to cut through metal. That even if you take the blade out, they're not generating that much friction. I mean, if you just do a quick Google search on battery operated trimmers, you know, there's tons of barbers that talk about those. I'm sorry, you're gonna really have. I got to see that. Let's finish this up though, because we're gonna read that article as well. Let's go.
Have the most serious charges. Mistrust in law enforcement complicates the search for the New Orleans jail escapees. I'm not sure who this guy is that they've got in this picture right here. I guess this might just be some regular resident who just distrusts the police. As authorities scour New Orleans for escapees from an audacious jailbreak, they are also confronting entrenched mistrust in law enforcement and the criminal justice system. Whoever wrote this was a beast at Scrabble with all these 7-letter words.
Yeah.
Nearly a week after 10 inmates yanked open a faulty cell door inside a city jail and moved the toilet to squeeze through a hole, 5 remain on the lam. The police superintendent has said most of the fugitives were likely still in the city as more than 200 law enforcement personnel worked to find them. Probably a lot of truth to that. Given the fact that it's 7 days later, you know, I would imagine some of these guys have gotten up out of the city. One or some have gotten out. But for the umpteenth time since I've been covering this story, I've got to say, you can rest assured at least one more guy is going to be caught in the city, if not the state, due to the lack of means to an end. But as I talk about that, we've got 3 people who've been arrested for trying to help these people, bringing food, sending cash apps, talking recklessly on recorded jail calls. Oh, hey, you're escaping when? Y'all gonna move the toilet and the jail worker's gonna cut the water off? You don't get no points for picking on an elderly guy while incarcerated, fighting a guy in a wheelchair. You really don't get points for that. You also don't get points for getting your loved ones or your friends and family jammed up because of your own selfish desire to break out of jail. I look at that as a disgusting thing. You know, these women, these 3 women who have been arrested, and possibly even Sterling Williams as well. But you look at these people who have been implicated and arrested because of what they've done to help these guys.
Right.
I'm sure they knew what they were doing was wrong, but their desire to help their loved ones outweighed the consequences. The risk was worth the reward in that moment. I would wonder if in this particular moment, sitting in a jail cell themselves, if it was worth it. How wild does it have to be sitting in a jail cell right now because you helped somebody to escape from jail and to remain escaped, and they're still out on the run. They're free, and now you're sitting where they should be. Complicating efforts is a history of misconduct and racial bias against Black people by the city police, a state police record of excessive force, and a jail system that was found to violate constitutional rights. And make no mistake, this is not just New Orleans and Louisiana that have these type of problems. Unfortunately for Louisiana and New Orleans, though, they're the ones that are front and center right this second due to what's happened because of that. Officials raised concerns that the men are receiving help from the community after 2 people were booked Wednesday on accessory charges and a third was booked on Thursday. Authorities have offered $20,000 in rewards for tips leading to the arrest of fugitives, many of whom were charged with or convicted of violent offenses, including murder. If we feel like law enforcement was here to help us, we would help them, said Mario Westbrook, 48. He realized only after the arrest of escapee DeKenyon Dennis that he had unknowingly spoken with the fugitive that day outside of a corner store. Westbrook compared the rush to capture Dennis near Westbrook's home with the often hours-long law enforcement response time in his neighborhood in New Orleans East, a long marginalized stretch of the majority black city. So what he's saying there is, damn, they was quick to come get this guy. They was right there when it was time to apprehend this guy. But yet, let me call the police because of something that's taking place. It's going to take them hours to respond. And, I can attest to something similar to that in my particular city, which is one of the worst cities in my state. It's the same exact way. You call the police for anything here, they ain't doing shit. And it's possibly due to being understaffed, underpaid, not paid enough to care, being stretched thin, limited resources, whatever the case may be. I remember a car accident that took place right on my street. Buddy was on a motorcycle. There was a dump truck that was right in front of him. The dump truck, for whatever reason, stopped and started to back up. Buddy on the motorcycle was trying to get up out of the way real quick, dumped the motorcycle, almost got ran over by the dump truck, had to call the police to report the accident. And he sat out there for like 4 hours waiting for the police to show up. Obviously, it wasn't anything serious. Maybe something more serious was taking place during that time, or maybe they just didn't care. Our community, the police come back here. They have no respect for us as human beings, Westbrook says. I got to imagine that is a personal opinion, but also there probably is some truth to that. But I know without knowing that it's not all police who are like that. But you always got bad apples, especially in the police, and maybe more in that line of work than in others for whatever reason. While dropping off a package near where police had cordoned off streets before capturing escapee Corey Boyd, delivery driver Brandy Peters, 36, said she was surprised authorities caught anyone because normally crime here goes unsolved. Interesting take on the situation, given the fact that 5 of these guys are still at large right now. Will these crazy. 5 remaining fugitives remain on the run? And will this add to yet another statistic of unsolved crime in this city? If you ask me, they lean more toward the French Quarter area, protecting and serving there more. Obviously, that's your number one tourist attraction.
Yeah.
So that does make a lot of sense, making sure that when people come in from out of town, that's where they are at. Many residents exasperated with what they see as the incompetence of city governance are mocking the outrageous escape. Local clothing store Dirty Coast, a reliable barometer of the city's mood, is even selling a t-shirt based on the inmates' taunt of "too easy," LOL, written above the hole where the inmates escaped. So here it is right here, Dirty Coast, whatever that is, I guess some store down in New Orleans. Sometimes it is too easy. For sale through Monday. Crazy to think that we've got clothing coming out representing this, rooting for these guys who are still on the run. As I was scrolling through this, somebody had posted, I have the perfect pants to wear with it. If you know, you know.
Yeah, that's the guy that got arrested.
Pants right there were actually worn by one of the first guys who was captured, one of the first 3. I can't remember which one that it was, but he was wearing those exact pants right there.
That's wild.
These guys are being sensationalized and turned into martyrs, heroes even. Which is diabolical to think what they were originally locked up for. They most certainly were not that. That's all that we got. It's a slow news day. It's been a slow, quiet couple of days, but just wanted to bring you guys the latest and hope that you found some interest in this. If you did, please leave a like and a comment on this, letting me know exactly what you think about all that is still taking place with this active investigation. I'd love to hear what you have to say. As always, until next time, enjoy life, the free world. Never take a moment for granted and make the most of every day. Peace.
All right, y'all, that's crazy. Okay, so I found the article. Shout out to After Prison Show. I found the article, but it really doesn't say much. I have to say it really doesn't say much about this allegedly using clippers It just throws it out there, just says it. I mean, as fantastic as a statement would be. So what I did was I just searched for clip trimmers in the article. All right, so first place is real quick. Give you a little space. All right, it says 10 inmates who broke out of the New Orleans jail in a stunning overnight escape last week used electric hair trimmers with multiple clipper blades to help cut their way through the cell's walls. A source with direct knowledge of the investigation told CNN. That's, I'm sorry, that is just fantastic. That is so outstanding. I really wanted, I have to see that. I have no idea. And I did pull up how could you use hair trimmers to cut through steel rebar? And there's just a lot. I just can't see how would they've gotten that done? The Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office, which oversees the Orleans Justice Center jail facility, has not responded to CNN's questions about the details surrounding the escape, including whether the inmates were allowed to have access to electric hair trimmers and barber equipment. I'm sorry. I just cannot fathom that they could literally use hair trimmers to cut through rebar. Not, and also given the time that they had, that means every last one of them would needed to have had a pair of clippers and be in there doing whatever they were doing to cut through the rebar. It just doesn't even seem, that seems entirely too fantastic. And granted, they had about an hour. They had about an hour, and from the guy ripping the door off, Hulk smashing the door off of the cell to them getting in. And like none of that was causing noise. None of that was causing sound. I just got questions. I could see using clippers to cut through the walls, but that would need something else for the steel. Right. I'm not giving you the clippers. Let me see if I can let's go to YouTube and check this out. I just can't see. That just doesn't make sense. All right, hold on. All right, let's see. Okay. I mean, I see a lot of people cutting hair. A lot of people talking about cutting hair, but I don't see anybody saying how you can use clippers to cut through rebar. I'm sorry, that's just too fantastic. That's just too fantastic. What tools are used in jail haircuts? Yeah, I don't see it. I don't think I don't think that. I think they might have proposed that as an idea, but you have a great. Now that would be true. I wouldn't want to be that clipper company though, because then people are just too fickle, and they would turn it around in a heartbeat. They would turn it around in a heartbeat and go after the company because they're capitalizing on blah 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 blah. Even though maybe with the wire of clippers by rubbing it back and forth on the bars. I don't know. I just don't understand. Would you let them? Am I to believe that they were able to have access to cords like that, or were these like? Yeah, I don't know. I'm definitely gonna be. I will definitely be looking for when they finally do a reenactment of how these 10 inmates got out. I will be definitely right there, front center, paying attention. Like, how did you cut through that bar? It takes the metal cutting blade to cut through rebar. I just can't see how you did that, man. I mean, I have clippers upstairs. They're not that sharp. They're not. And they're not a. It's not like a razor blade. It's just. I'm trying to make this make sense. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Okay, I think I hear one of my kids in it. Hold on one second. My daughter's gonna go get my pair of clippers. We're gonna look at this because yeah, everybody get your clippers out. Everybody get your clippers out. Throw your clippers up. Throw your clippers up. I can hear her in my restroom getting it right now. Oh yeah, they might get me on Rico. I'm over here because I did type. Can you use clippers to cut through a jail cell? Okay, I know what it is. I know what I'm having a problem wrapping my mind around. I'm having a problem wrapping my mind around the fact that you allow convicts in jail to have access to equipment like this. But we've seen them with pew pews in their cell. So really, what really should surprise me? Really, Uh, that's the problem. I think the issue is that I just can't imagine that you would actually allow. Okay, yeah, thank you, baby. I'm gonna shave my beard online. Yep. If I get 50,000 subs, I'm gonna cut my beard off right here on the show. Okay. All right. This is dangerous. I mean, this is a pair of clippers. I've had this since I was in college, and these are oyster clippers. Okay. So first of all, this right here is a no-go. If they had access to this, I mean, they're gonna be putting people's head to bed with this doggone cord. Because this cord is, like I said, I've had these since I was 19, 18 years old. Yeah, because in college when I was a kid, you had to put your name on all of your stuff, and my name is on here. Wow, these are old. Okay, so let's play a game. Okay, I'm so like to get these clippers off, you would need a pair. You would need a a screwdriver. So let me make sure I got this right. Y'all let these men have access to this. Now, I will say, I'm going to say, if you take this blade off, you would have effectively two saws. You would have two saws. I guess it's possible. I just can't imagine that you would. I just can't see this. Again, like I said, I'm waiting for the video of them reenacting how they got. I guess they didn't need these to be on. I guess you could take these off, and you could just take these and just saw on it, and then use the other one, saw on it, and then I guess I honestly I can't wrap my mind around it. Was any video photo released showing anything other than the hole in the wall? No. So I don't know how they did it, but and I've had these clippers forever, so I'm not going to burn them up like that. But I think I even have my old set of blades for this. I think I have to look, but I might even have an old set of blades. So then we're gonna get some rebar and try to cut it with the blades because the blades are not super sharp. They're just kind of like serrated. I don't know if you can see that, man. They're just serrated edges. I don't think they're super sharp for what they use them for in this scenario. So I don't know. I don't know, man. That right there, that story is that's starting to creep into the world of fantastic. But I mean, they were. I just can't believe you would let some criminals have access to that kind of equipment in jail. But I mean, I guess they got to get haircuts. I guess if your beard hair, if your beard hair can do clippers, what do you think? Metal. That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Inmates make not now. I'm not saying they don't make knives out of everything. Why would they allow them to have clippers unsuper? That's my question. I mean, there's a lot of shenanigans that happen in jail, so I understand that part, but I have no clue why that would be appropriate. I have to admit, man, every day this case has gotten weirder and weirder. It's shown me more and more. Still got to have that lineup, though. You're right. Got to have a sharp lineup. Absolutely. Incarcerated or not, still got to be tight. I got you, man. I got you. I just can't. I can understand a jailhouse barber. I can understand that. I just can't understand why did they have access to those, and how did they have access to them? They get razor blades by law. Really? Really? They gotta have razor blades? Wow. Yeah, they all gonna have long hair and beards. They all gonna look like Calvinists in a minute. They're gonna reverse Calvinists. They got man buns and long beards. Yeah, because these clowns and used. I still okay. I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna put it over here. I'm not gonna put it in the fairy tale category. I'm just gonna put it in the fantastic. That is a really fantastic story. I want to see the reenactment of how they got through that rebar with razor blades, with clipper blades. How did they use these to get through the rebar? And then also, I want to know what happened when they got out into the hallway or out into I think he called it the catch. What happened? How did you get from there to the loading dock? What happened? Because I think the word cover up is starting to sound really good here. So, well, let me know what y'all think about that. I appreciate you going with me as I went a little bit off the rails on that one. We'll do it again. Preferably to actually catch somebody because they didn't kind of stop. I mean, as my thumbnail said, they got 7 accomplices and only 5 inmates. We're gonna need them to up that ante and get those inmates caught. Usually, they have a person in each block that cuts hair and they bring the clippers to them, but they don't leave until they're done with the clippers. That would make sense to me. That would make total sense. I've had clippers that would have trouble getting through a chocolate bar, more or less rebar. I mean, that's kind of crazy. But I'm thinking like, okay, if you took these blades off, like I said, you would have effectively 2 serrated blades. And then just take it and then like you just sawing on it and then use the other one to saw on it, I guess. I'm gonna find me a piece of metal and I think I have some old blades up there. I'm gonna try that out. We gotta do an investigation because I cannot see how that happened. New oysters adds cut rebar still keeps you tight. Come on now. Like, I mean, that would be great. Well, that's true. If I catch one, I do get 20 grand. Look, I can show how they did it. That's still crazy though. That's kind of fantastic to me. What's going on, Shonda? Good to see you. Thanks so much for coming through. Well, if they catch one, no, not me. Let me take that back. No, no, no. All I gotta do is tell them where he is. That Pookie is over there hiding under Miss Jenkins' porch. That's all I need to do. And they go arrest the Pookie. I get the 20 grand. I don't need to go out there and tackle them. Look, I'm not built for that. These cats already got bodies on them. They are not gonna get me. No, ma'am. No, sir. Craziness, y'all. Thank you so much for rocking with me. I really do appreciate you. Hopefully you enjoy this rather pretty frequent. I've been doing it pretty much every day, except one day last week, but pretty much every day update on the Orleans Pookie Jailbreak. Hopefully you're enjoying it. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Thank you for liking the video. Thank you for tipping your waiter on your way out the door. And what you do to tip your waiter is you hit the like button and drop a green heart in the chat. Thanks so much. We'll do it again tomorrow, Lord willing. We have a lot of family here still for President Firstborn's graduation, but we're looking forward to it. We're going to get up and have a wonderful day at church tomorrow and then drop some people off at the airport. So that will be it. You know what, Apex, you hit the nail on the head. That's a true statement. I can't argue with you. And idle mind is a devil's workshop. Inmates are proof of that. I can't argue. Thank you so much, y'all. I appreciate you for rocking with me. I will see you all real soon. Lord willing, we'll do it again tomorrow. Until then, grace and peace. Take care.